Also, new reporting on how this pandemic is impacting poor and minority communities the hardest. A very special guest, you may recall him from many times on MSNBC, but we haven't had him on The Beat lately. I am thrilled to tell you the Reverend William Barber is here live next, right after this break. We've been reporting on the health crisis for the first half of our broadcast tonight. Now we turn to the related economic crisis. 36 million Americans out of jobs, leading to scenes like this in Dallas and New York. This is just in the last day. Thousands of people at food banks trying to make ends meet, trying to find a way to put food on the table.
I don't know. This is a very scary time, and I don't think it's over right now.
Of course, I'm unemployed. Right now, I have two out of five of my kids home.
We're going to see demand like this for years.
There's a tremendous need. We've seen a 400% increase in people coming to our pantries.
Joining me now is Reverend William Barber. He is the president of Repairers of the Breach, co-founder of the Poor People's Campaign, a revival of the effort first launched by Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., who worked tirelessly, of course, on civil rights and racial justice, and also on working people's rights within America. It's been a moment since I've seen you. It is good to see you again, sir.
Thank you so much, Ari. And, you know, I just looked at those lines. All that we're seeing is bad choices. This has been a damnable dereliction of duty that is actually criminal. And if I would speak in biblical terms, it's evil. So we've had this pandemic. Before the pandemic, 140 million people were living in poverty and low income, 43% of this country. 700 people are dying a day from poverty, 250,000 a year. And 80 million people either uninsured or underinsured. And we knew going in that pandemics live in the fissures and the wounds of society caused by poverty and systemic racism. And what the pandemic has been is like a contrast drive that you put in your body that has forced us to see this. And we didn't have, this is choice. These lines, people not having health care, people not having tested. This is not the disease. This is not the germ. As ugly, as bad as that germ is, it's not the germ. It's the pandemic of greed and lies and racism and public idolatry and narcissism, not just from Trump, but even from the Congress and his enablers in the Congress, where we did not respond to this thing properly. And thousands of people have died needlessly. And it is a damnable dereliction of duty. And now with this opening of society without us doing the things we ought to have done is going to be lethal to so many people.
And you say it goes beyond the president. What else is it revealing? What do we do about it?
Well, first thing we need to do, you know, we're considering a fourth bill now. The first thing, every congressperson ought to get on the floor and repent for the first three bills. First three bills, $2-3 trillion, 83% went to the corporations, not to the people. We gave the people a title change, essential, but we did not provide them the essential things they needed: health care, protection, testing, protection from being thrown out and evicted, protections from their utilities being cut off. And then what we need is a real bill, not just a hero bill, but a human rights bill. You know, we're talking about, Ari, anywhere from 11 to 13 million more people are going to be added to the uninsured, according to a recent study by Harvard. We're talking about 40% of people under $40,000 who will lose their jobs. We're talking about the poverty going up exponentially. So we need not just we need a transformative bill, not a moderate bill. How can we not pass to protect people with health care? We're the only of 25 wealthiest countries that does not protect health care for everybody. We attach health care to a job instead of to people's humanity. Right now, in the midst of this pandemic, like Roosevelt did with the New Deal, we should be saying we're going to ensure everybody health care. We're going to ensure a living wage. We're going to make sure you can't be evicted. We're going to make sure your water can't be turned off. We're going to make sure that we enact the Defense Authorization Act, that you have the PPEs and everything. So what we have learned, Ari, is that even before this, too many people are too comfortable with other people's death. And that has a long history in America. from the death genocide of Native people, from blaming diphtheria on Chinese people, from blaming the swine flu on Spanish people, blaming cholera on people from India, a long history of ignoring other people's deaths to our own detriment. So we now need a transformative act. And I'm so tired, and people are so tired. I talked to a lady today, a few days ago, who's a nurse's assistant, and she said, Reverend Barber, I'm a nurse's assistant. We are experiencing public policy mass murder. She said the fact that we have to go buy garbage bags to go to work, we don't have what we need in a country with our manufacturing power and our economic power. The fact that we don't have these things is policy decisions.
Right.
And a public health pandemic requires a policy reaction.
And Reverend, that goes the last thing I want to ask you about. You know, in law and policy, you have acts, commission, and you have not acting, omission. And both can be wrong. Both can have consequences. The last thing I want to ask you about is a very simple statistic we pulled here on what's being provided to workers who are going back into this risk. About half are being given gloves, which means half are not. And masks, which the CDC says are necessary, 80% are not being offered masks, only 19% being offered masks. Do you view that omission as morally wrong?
It's sin. I mean, it's literally evil, especially when you can do it. That's why we're organizing. Stay at home, stay in place, stay alive, organize, and don't believe the lies. That's why on June 20th, we're pulling together a mass movement digitally, a national Poor People's Assembly march on Washington digitally, and thousands, literally millions of people going to tune in. We are in a battle for the very soul and heart of this country. And even if you're not a religious person, the way we have done these policies, what Trump has done and McConnell has done or not done, are commissions. This is intentional. They could have done better. And it doesn't even line up with our Constitution. There's nothing about this that establishes justice. There's nothing about this that provides for the common defense. There's nothing about this that promotes the general welfare of all people. In like the book of Jeremiah, it says that from the greatest to the small, they are lying, and they are applying a Band-Aid to a wound that requires something much more. And it doesn't have to be. I agree with the Boston Globe when they said the blood is on the hands of those in power who could do better, from the president to the Congress, who know what to do and could do better and are not doing it. And we have to be just that clear. And that's why poor and low-wealth people and moral leaders are rising up in this moment. Because, brother, if we can't get this right in a pandemic, God help us in this country. If we can look at this level of death, and now our children, the children, and if folk can glibly just go back and knowing that they're going to spread this, I feel sorry for people that will believe a con artist who walks around with no mask because everybody else has masks around him, and there's 6 and 12 people. That's not courage. That's a con. And to think that people are being conned, I'm getting calls from my friends up in Appalachia, in the mountains, poor folks that are going to be devastated by this. And it's time that we have to come together and say, even if we have taken our last breath, Artie, we ought to say, if I'm taking my last breath, because all of us could be, then what am I going to use my last breath to fight for? What kind of world, what kind of society? Let's choose justice, let's choose love, and let's fight.
You lay it out clearly. I hope people are listening. We will come back to you again. Reverend Barber, thank you. And I want to make sure everyone understands you can go see Reverend Barber's march and how to get involved. That's June2020.org. Thank you, sir. We'll be right back.